AJ.
And Shannon, and this is Who Are We, AJ?
Go for the day.
And who do we have with us today?
Robin with Wyatt Ware.
That's right. We have Miss Robin from Wyatt Ware, and she's going to talk about a really innovative. It's not so new, but they put a twist on some really amazing bibs, and we wanted to bring this product to you because we think it's not only useful to people with disabilities, but it could be useful to everybody everywhere. And like you know, we like to bring on inclusive products, and that's what she's all about. So,
yes.
But first of all, let's do some introduction, AJ. We have some new sponsor information that we want to give out, right?
Sure do.
And we want to thank them for giving you guys a code. You know, we love friendly shoes here, AJ, right?
We sure do.
And what
we wear
okay, go ahead.
We wear our friendly shoes every day.
That's right. And we were so lucky last week because they called us and decided that they were going to now on make us affiliates and that we could give you guys, all of our listeners and viewerships, a special code that would give you 10% off every time you bought a pair of friendly shoes. So, AJ, why don't you shout out the code and tell our listeners and our viewership?
It's
Friends
for
life.
For life.
Okay, and that's spelled out FRENZ, friends, for the number 4, LI. Is it LYFE? LYFE, yep, life.
LYFE.
So it's friends for life. And we'll have that in every description box from now on. We'll have it in all of our show notes in the podcast. So you guys go over to Friendly Shoes if you're looking for some great holiday footwear that's adaptive, that works for almost everybody, and that are super cute and fashionable, even for kids, because we know about the new kids lines. I can too. Go check them out. They're really amazing, and use our code and get 10% off and help us out just a little bit.
Yep.
Anyway, today let's get on to our special guest because she needs no introduction. She's amazing. Miss Robin, nice to see you with us today.
Nice to see you guys. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Well, I was introduced to Wyatt Ware through another company venture that we did together, and you sent me one to try, and I really loved it. So why don't you tell our listeners about the birth of Wyatt Ware and the reason why you need it and who's really behind it and what's the force of it all there?
So the force behind it is really my son. He is the catalyst. So I am a mom to a teenage son with cerebral palsy.
Right.
And with his particular form of cerebral palsy, he drools a lot. Uh-huh. And so, you know, he has worn a variety of bibs along the way, but he is 14 now and started high school and wanted to match his clothes, look cool, you know. And
I gotta look like my buddies, right? I gotta look cool.
Right. So we were challenged with trying to find something that met that criteria, and we really couldn't find anything that was edgy and cool and almost like an accessory to match an outfit. So my husband and I decided to, you know, form Wyatt Ware and have an inaugural bib line that had some edgy kind of a spice to it, where we used some faux suede and some faux leather, and we start obviously with absorbent fabric, and lots of times people gravitate to, you know, the tried and true, which is like terry cloth or towel kind of material. And so we've gone in a little bit of different direction by using 100% cotton flannel, which is like one of the most absorbent types of materials out there.
I can show you the one that she sent me, and mine's a little bit worse for wear because I've been using it a lot, but this is the type of, I don't know if you can see it, but this is the type of material that she's talking about, the backing. It's just a white, really absorbent material, and this what I love about it so much, and we're gonna get into that. Let me kind of manipulate it here. This is what I love so much about it is look how awesome. I don't know if you can see that on me, but I will model it for you very fashionably. Here there is a really nice design on it. I love the gray color and the pattern. So, and I'm not even afraid to say I use it around my home when and I've told Miss Robin before in discussions to help clean and cover my clothes and keep it from getting cleaning product on it. And even when I eat, I know recently I made some chili, and you know, when you're cooking and you get things on you, and I also discussed with you a couple weeks ago how great it would be for an adult like me. Now, I don't use it typically as a bib a lot of times, but I told you the other day that I would love it as kind of an apron, because if you can see, it pretty much covers the whole front of me and keeps me from getting my clothes dirty. So I love that about it. And I know that this product has saved me in many different situations lately, so I love it. And you can use it in a variety of ways, but I know that initially you use it for, you know, to help Wyatt with drool, but we have come up with different
Right.
ways being versatile. So I love that.
Yes, and thank you. And you helped me significantly with the feedback because, again, we developed it really to catch drool, but you gave me, you know, all kinds of other use cases for it. So those are the unintended benefits,
Yes.
you know, behind all the different ways that individuals could use these bibs, whether it is to catch drool or if it's to you know, use it to protect themselves while they're eating or to clean if it's long enough, to, you know, create like crafting and they want to protect their clothes. I mean, just in a variety of ways, apparently. So I'm very happy, you know, to learn about that and all the different ways.
I can tell you, and there's no shame, I can tell you that recently I was carving some pumpkins with my daughters, so that helped in that kind of situation. You know, it helped cover and keep myself clean, because a lot of times I have CP and it can be a little messy to do that job with two teenagers, but I was able to keep myself clean with the bib, and I love it. So yeah, thank you for that.
Absolutely. Someone else was telling me too that they were drinking a hot beverage and they lost their balance and it spilled on them and they didn't feel it at all.
Yep.
And then it totally absorbed it and it was very hot, but yet it protected them from being burned by it. So I was like, wow, another unintended benefit behind it.
Yep. And that's what I love about it. And you know, you just mentioned something that I didn't even really think of, but that's such a problem when you live independently, you know, and have a disability, like myself and AJ, is that when you're getting something hot out of a situation like a teapot or like the microwave, or if you're reheating your coffee in the morning, we do have tendency to have a spasm or a tremor, and our hands can shake and kind of move around a little bit. So yeah, I would be very tempted to use this if that was to happen and I was to spill, because that happens to me a lot of times. So yeah.
Yeah, and then another individual was telling me with the bib that you have, how they were going out on a date with their partner and used it to pair with a blazer.
Yeah.
And it didn't look at all like a bib, and so she had her partner model it for me.
Wow,
and so I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So
And
that was the whole intent. You know, we wanted to create a bib that was like an accessory, you know, to where you could pair it with apparently blazers and jackets and match your jeans and what have you. And it doesn't necessarily look like a bib, but it's there as part of your outfit.
Exactly. It's an accessory. And I know we've talked in a previous meeting about, you know, how cool they are and the different styles and the different, you know, kind of vibe that you have. And I know we're working on a promotional video for you, and so we have partnerships. And so what we came up with, we're going to give you one line of that soon to come promotional video, and we say that Wyatt Wear has you covered in every sticky situation. So, and that means, I was thinking about when we came up with that, I was thinking about what if kids were playing with Play-Doh or, something like that. Or there's this new stuff like, I don't know, it's like the
Gack.
not
Or
yeah, GAC or like what's the new stuff they're doing? Goodness,
The
like
slime?
yeah, slime. That's it.
Yeah.
They were, what if kids are playing with that and they get it all over their clothes? And so it's just, a line that I thought about. We have you covered in every sticky situation because seriously, you guys do, and you do it in style because you guys
Right.
you go to the website and you look at all these really cool, amazing styles. Like they use fabrics that are hip and stylish, and they're just so cute. Honestly,
Well, thank you.
there's almost for every style there's a bib. So
how,
go
how
ahead.
do you come up with the patterns and designs?
Good question. We try to keep our eye on what's trending. And so, like vegan leather, faux leather is so popular right now. And so that's why we tried to stay on that trend, along with faux suede is super popular. So that's why we jumped on that trend as well. And then we also are in the process of developing a formal bib line.
Whoa! Look at that!
Well,
With a little bit of bling on the
yes, so using some velvet
Hey, girl.
and
Oh,
sequins.
All right, AJ. Your next one's gonna be velvet, huh?
like a tuxedo.
With the
There you go. Yes, there you go.
Yeah, there's an idea. Well, we have a design for you that I bet you haven't thought of. We want to partner with you, and we want you to make a DBTD bib.
A deep. Oh, okay.
We want our logo partnered with yours, and we want everybody to wear "Don't Burn the Day." We can come up with a special design, can't we? Can't we, AJ?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Maybe with some brown faux leather and some, like, I don't know, a lighter a lighter brown material, and we could just have the orange "Don't Burn the Day." I know AJ would rock that with
Yes. I was
Go ahead, AJ.
I was wondering what inclusion and diversity.
Oh, you jumped right into it and you got me. Okay. So, Miss Robin, you need to understand that we have specific questions that we like to ask our very special guests that are in the disability community, and I was getting there, AJ, but he jumped the gun a little bit. So, and AJ usually asks questions, and I know that's why he kind of jumped, because he's pretty excited to ask you questions, and usually we get really diverse answers when we ask this question. So we picked you to ask this specific question to, and we want to know your thoughts. So AJ, take it away.
What does diversity and inclusion mean to you, and why we're
Yeah.
Inclusion and diversity. I know those are big buzzwords right now. And
if you know anything about our podcast or listen to prior episodes, we often say the reason why we ask this question is because the words diversity and inclusion are such buzzwords in the community these days, and we want to know different people's perspectives. So go ahead.
Absolutely. All right. So because I'm part of the special needs community because of my son, I am very sensitive, to that. And also too, because we are a minority African American.
Yep.
So we've got 2 check marks right there.
Well, we do too. we do too. We're part of the disability community, and I think, we try to bring on individuals like yourself that have different different feedback, because we want to hear from everybody. Not only are we a podcast that likes to be likes to talk about everything disability related, but we also try to be as inclusive as possible to everybody and anybody, and we like to talk about their feelings and what they, what they have to deal with. So, and when I heard about Wyatt, even though I haven't met him specifically, I want to though. We're gonna do it one day. I think, I think you're doing a great job at, number one, as a mom, number two, as an advocate. And I know he's an amazing 14-year-old that's been through a lot already, because if you're part of the disability community and you're, of age like AJ and I, then we also know what's coming for you as a mom.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and for Wyatt. So we just are really grateful to you, and we want, like I said, we just want to hear what that means to you. We have, and we try to be sensitive to those things, and the fact that you are a minority, but that doesn't matter to us. We just see everybody as people, and we want you to tell your story.
Right. So basically, I guess if I had to boil it down to like a sentence, I would say,
Girl, we want to hear everything. You don't have to boil in.
No, true. But I'm just saying, just to kind of as a organizing thought or principle,
Right.
is just to say, having a seat at the table. All right. So as in representing whatever corner of the world that you represent, and being able to have that seat at the table, to be able to bring your different thought processes, to bring your different experiences, to bring your cultural perspectives, to bring how you view the world. So your rose-colored lenses and how you view it. So I give you just something basic. And I know you know this, Shannon, being a person that is also in a wheelchair. I mean, people will say, like, I have a relatively new friend that wanted to go for like a hike or a walk, and she wanted me to bring Wyatt, and she was going to bring her daughter as well, which I think is around 9 years old. And then I was asking her, okay, so where are we going to go? What does that trail look like?
Yep.
And so she's like, well, and she couldn't remember because she wasn't looking through that lens
Right.
of somebody who's navigating with a wheelchair.
Because she's never been there before.
Exactly. So no shade towards her.
No.
It's just that she's never had to navigate the world from that perspective.
But that is then your opportunity as a mother and an advocate, and even Wyatt's opportunity and our opportunity here at Don't Burn the Day to become advocates and say, but you might not know this, but this is the issue that we're going to have. So let's try to see if we can come up with another activity that is almost the same but inclusive to Wyatt.
Exactly. And so she has already changed, because the next time that we were talking about something, she's like, okay, I checked or I called and it's wheelchair friendly.
Yes.
So it's little things, one step at a time. So going back to your question, as far as inclusive, and diversity, inclusion and diversity, it's just being able to come as your full self to the table, and people that are around the table with you being able to genuinely appreciate what you're bringing to the table, to hear you.
And there you go. And I love you said two words that mean so much just in that one sentence. To genuinely hear you, to authentically hear you. Because a lot of people, even when you say things like, well, it's not accessible, so I'm sorry, we're going to have to decline, or if you can't find another way, we're I really want Wyatt to be involved, but this needs to be accessible. So people that hear you are willing to make those changes that are going to make it possible for Wyatt to be included.
Exactly. And my whole thing is, if someone is always looking for us to make the adjustment, I'm not interested.
Yes, girl. Snaps.
Yes.
Snaps. Yes, girl. It's not, well, I always say this because I feel like, we come to the table as DBTD, we come to the table to just let you in on our experiences and let you in on what it's like to live life with a disability, and we talk about some truth. I mean, if you really want to get down to it, a lot of our shows are real, authentic truth about what it's like to live with a disability and the people that are involved in our community. However, if we talk to a guest or we meet somebody and they're not disabled and they're not willing to, even outside of the show, if, as an advocate myself, if you aren't willing to come to the table with something that can fix the problem that I have with accessibility, and you say it's my problem, yes, I realize I'm an advocate, and there are some, responsibilities I have in that respect, but it is not my issue to fix
Right.
something that you have wrong.
Right.
So-
and at a minimum, we can meet halfway,
Right.
but you're not gonna require me to make that adjustment on a regular basis.
Right,
In that
no.
situation, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Stephen Covey and the 7 Habits of Highly
Yes.
Effective People.
Yes.
And one of I can't remember the actual habit. It's win-win or no deal.
Yep.
And my whole thing is if I'm in a relationship and it's always win-lose, where
Mhm.
I'm the one that's always having to make the adjustments, it's not worth me nurturing that relationship anymore. I'm
Yeah.
out.
And that's the same, it goes the same way with anything that's accessible, because, growing up, and I talk to AJ about this all the time on the show, and I talk to different people about it all the time. Sometimes you are not willing to be the advocate. You just want to be yourself. We have to be on so many times as advocates every day. We have to fight for everything we have.
But Shannon, that is still advocating. You're advocating for yourself.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
advocating for equality as far as treating me equally,
Yeah.
and don't think because I bring different abilities to the table that I am less than you.
Girl, how you just learned so quick? How you learned so quick? We love it. AJ, what you think?
This is awesome.
We love it. Yeah, you are like so much part of the Don't Burn the Day family, and I knew it from day one. You're so right. Like, and I tell my husband all the time, sometimes I just want to be Shannon. I just want to, come to, and I tell my friends all the time, I just want to be mama. I want to be a wife. I want to be a friend. I don't always want to have to go out in public and be that advocate who's solving problems. So if you go ahead.
Superhero advocate.
Yeah. So if there's an issue with something that is not accessible, or I'm not able to get to as a mom or a wife or whatever, don't make it completely my problem. I love the fact that you said that, because a lot of people who come on here that aren't part of the disability world, they are living through those rose-colored glasses, and they just don't know. But a lot of what we say is, at that point, it is our opportunity. It is your opportunity as Wyatt's mom. And, I know that you're raising Wyatt to be the best advocate in his way that he can be. And then that becomes your responsibility and Wyatt's, but also there's a time where you just want Wyatt to be a kid, and you just want to be mom. You don't want to be having to fight for his rights all the time. I feel that so much. So
You hit it right on the head.
go ahead, H.
What does Wyatt enjoy doing?
What does he enjoy doing? What does he enjoy doing?
What does he enjoy doing? One of his favorite things to do in the world is just going on long walks.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was all excited with the new friend that I met to go on the walk, but then I was like paranoid. That brings me great angst when I am not familiar with an area and trying to take him into it. And so yes, going on long walks, he absolutely loves that. He loves to read his books. We read to him. And he never ever gets tired of. You could read for 2 hours and he still wants more. And then what else he loves?
Great.
Yeah,
That's great that he loves to read. One of the questions that, and I love your diversity and inclusion question that AJ asked. So I'm gonna kind of go off that and say, when a parent realizes, and this, I can, I can say this because I'm not afraid to say my age. I'm 40 years old. I talk about it all the time on the show. So, but 40 years ago, things were a lot different when I was born. And my mom was 21 when she had me, and there wasn't a lot of information told about, listen, your daughter has CP, until I got a little bit older and reached the age of 2 years old. Then I was formally diagnosed. So, as a parent now living in these times, what's it like for you to be a parent to a child like Wyatt with CP? I mean, I know all of us can say we go through things, but give us like a rundown of what it feels like for you. And I mean, I know you didn't expect to 14 years ago when you had Wyatt. I'm sure you didn't expect to have to walk in the advocate mom shoes, but here you are. And so tell me what that's like.
Okay, so quick Wyatt origin story. So I was doing a natural birth, and they lost his heartbeat during the birthing process. So they had to take me in for an emergency C-section. And
C-section mamas, I am too. So
okay. And so once the C-section was done, from the time that they lost his heartbeat to when he was born, he went without oxygen for 17 minutes.
Okay, wow.
So usually, if I kind of level set expectations, usually adults, they work on adults to resuscitate them for 15 minutes, and then they call time of death. So Wyatt went without oxygen for 17 minutes. So he really was in bad shape. And so I know, Shannon, you are familiar with Apgar scores, the scores that they give the babies. Okay. So usually it's the score of 0 to 10, and they give the score just as far as the how responsive they are to whatever the basic tests that they give. So at birth, Wyatt got a 0. And then at 15 minutes of life, he got a 2. And then at 30 minutes of life, he got a 2. And the highest score is 10. Okay. So they had to rush him off to another hospital for a cooling board procedure because, there was swelling in the brainstem. There was all kinds of problems. So of course we didn't go into the hospital expecting to have a special needs child.
Right.
But but because his birth was so traumatic, everybody knew pretty much that there was going to be issues.
Right.
So I'd say really at 4 months of age, he was pretty much diagnosed with epilepsy and CP and a lot of other different.
So he's multi-diagnosed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, it's one of those things that you expect, like 99.9% of parents, that when you go to the hospital, you have the baby and you come home and you're celebrating, hey, we got a new baby and what have you. And my husband and I felt robbed of that opportunity to do that. And so we were, kind of in a dark place emotionally for a little while. We came out of the process. We came out of that experience at different times, but I'd say for about 2 years for me and a little bit longer for him, that, it's just like we were mourning the loss of the child that we thought we were supposed to have. And so, but, once I kind of, finally
you got out of your own
funk. And I got it out of funk in a variety of ways, and that's a whole nother conversation. But once I got out of that funk, and I realized really how blessed that we were to have him.
There you go.
Well, but it took me a minute to see it. I just didn't come out going.
I fully can get it, because my mom is, and I'm sure she doesn't mind because she's proud of it. My mom is a 60-year-old woman who had me when she was 21 and didn't. To be frank, didn't know what the hell she was gonna do. Okay, she didn't. My grandparents pretty much helped her raise me from the time I was born, because she was 21 and was ready to have a normal, neurotypical baby, and got all that is me. Okay.
The fabulousness that's Shannon.
Yes, the fabulousness that is me, and AJ's mom got him, and But, I think if you're any type of parent and you have a special needs child, then you go through your own kind of experience with that. I love to, I love to hear how, how you were then and kind of where you are now as to where your expectations were before versus now.
Oh yeah, and then just the whole process, because just as far as learning how to care for him and all the multiple diagnoses and getting familiar with all the equipment that he came with and that and just with the relationship with the doctors and so forth. I mean, just and then how close my husband and I became in the process, because lots of times, I mean, when you've got a special needs child that you're adding to a mix of marriage, the divorce rate for typical marriages is already at 50%.
Yep.
And when you add that little wrinkle onto it, it skyrockets.
Yes.
And so we've got lots of friends that have divorced. And so, and we did not. We actually grew towards each other.
So, I mean,
and so,
for that. Hallelujah for that.
Hallelujah, definitely.
You're so right. You're so right. When I was 6 months old, and there were other issues too, but when I was 6 months old, my actual biological father and mother divorced. But then when I was 4 years old, my mom met the man that I call Dad, and he just jumped in with both feet and was like right there for everything, and had been there, up until the passing of, until he passed almost 6 years ago. He was my rock star. Anything and everything I wanted to do growing up. I was a cheerleader in a wheelchair. I was the first cheerleader in my high school. He was like all for it. I wanted to ride horses. He was all for it. All the things even the things that I wanted to do that my mom was a little bit scared of. He was like, no, you gotta let her you gotta let her try this, and if she falls, she'll get back up and we'll do it again, and I have to say, my parents really did advocate for my independence, and that's what has made me what I am today. And even though my kids are neurotypical, they still have a very high sensitivity to people with disabilities, because I'm
their mother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody ever in a million years would have ever thought that when I was born 40 years ago at like 2 pounds, that I would be here. So I'm very much in tune with what you said about Wyatt, because it's a rough situation, and I can't imagine what any parent would go through.
It's rough, but then it's not, in the sense that it's a mindset.
Right.
And it's a mindset that can be changed.
Yep.
And so, so despite the initial challenges we had emotionally and just kind of getting used to our new life and finding a new rhythm, it's the best thing ever now. I would not change anything.
I'm going to ask a question that, you probably didn't expect, or, that a lot of people wouldn't expect, but how did you feel? Because I know even as my own person that a lot of times people say, I'm sorry that your child is disabled. I'm sorry this, I'm sorry that. My mom, from the time that I grew up and was raised by my grandparents, and we all kind of were bonded together in that way, and she started raising me, was like, don't be sorry for me. I have the coolest child in the world, even though she can't walk. Like, this is what she can do, and this is, so how do you feel when people, because I know Wyatt is a dynamic, just by meeting you, I know Wyatt is a dynamic boy, and he might not be verbal, but I'm sure he can understand everything and anything that you say. So, in the way that you do. So how do you feel, and how do you deal with those situations when people come up to you? And even now it happens to me and AJ. How do you feel when people come up to you in the grocery store and go, I'm so sorry, and I'm so sorry? But how do you feel about that as a parent?
Well, depending on who it is, I would just say, I'm kind of sorry that your life is a little boring,
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Because my life has been significantly enriched
Yeah.
by being a part of the special needs community. There's so many people that I would have never met in my lifetime
Mhm.
had it not been for Wyatt being on the CP journey.
Yep.
And so no, I can't say, even if I had the opportunity, somebody put a big button in front of my face and said, here, you can hit this reset button, go back to when Wyatt was born and he is born a typical child, would you hit that reset button? And I would say no. I would say
I don't think anybody sitting, I don't think any of us sitting in the Zoom room, and even that goes for AJ and I who have gone through adolescence and, young adulthood in chairs, because we were born with our disabilities. So we don't know any different. And once somebody asked me a question, I was actually competing for Miss Wheelchair Florida. And during that time, they asked me the question, if you could take a pill. And I know, AJ, we've talked about this question before. If you could take a pill, would you take it and take it back for a day? And I literally, and I'm going to be honest with my answer here. I literally sat there for a second. I gathered my thoughts, and as queenly as I could, I said, "Are you kidding me? Are you like, is this some kind of sick joke?" Because like all of what I know has been from a chair or having a disability or having CP. So CP has shaped me as a woman that I am, and I wouldn't be sitting here today if I had it taken away from me. And number two, like, you're gonna play a sick joke on me and let me take a pill that's gonna take it away for only one day. And so I could run down the beach with my kids and like hold them and spin them around. No, thanks. I'll keep what I got because I love myself and I love who I am. So
exactly. I mean, and so people, they're very narrow-minded, when they approach and ask silly questions like that. And so it's a reflection of them.
Yep. Exactly.
Not you at all. And so, you learn to toughen up your skin, because again, people can be ignorant. But that's just part of the world that we have to navigate, unfortunately.
It's culture. AJ, I saw you moving around there. You got a question?
Throughout your journey, with the wine, what have you learned, and what have you tried to give back to others?
Good one.
Good question.
Good one.
Good question. And look, this is what I attempted to give back. Oh, I don't know if you could see it.
Having a happy life with a special needs child. I love it. A parent's perspective.
Oh,
So I wrote the book.
Girl, we're gonna promote the book too. I mean, come on. You need to show that sucker.
So that's something that I was burning to get out, because I was like, there's got to be an easier way to have like some sort of blueprint back to happiness, because I was, prior to Wyatt being born, I was an incredibly happy person. After he was born, because of the traumatic way he was born, we had to figure out how to live again, and we had to
your new normal,
my new normal, our new normal, and how to find our happiness again. But the happiness looked different, so it took us a while before we figured out what made us happy as a family and individually.
But look at, I mean, could you ever imagine, look at where you are now. I mean, you have, you're building this empire with Wyatt, where you're bringing a new fashion accessory to the disability community that's very useful for the majority of us. And, I know that your life looks different than it once was appeared to be, but if you didn't have Wyatt, you wouldn't have all of that. So
exactly. And so that's why my life has been enriched, and I would never want to take a pill ever to then rewind it and be placed on a different path, a path that wasn't mine. This is the path that is mine.
I think,
and
I think my mom has even said that in her own way, thinking about it, because we've had discussions, we're a pretty open family and we talk about it. And she's like, I would never take back the fact that you have a disability, because it's been my journey too. And basically, we raised each other because, like I said, she was 21 when she had me, and she was not expecting to have,
Yeah.
a special needs child, if you will. But and she got all that is me, like I said, and I'm
Yeah.
quite the dynamo these days.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and I always have been. So,
That's it. But in the book, though, I
let's
have
talk
all
about your
kinds
book.
of I have all kinds of like suggestions on, like, especially because Wyatt is a medically fragile kid.
Mhm.
So, we were in the hospital for at least the first 2 years of his life, off and on all the time, in the ER all the time, so forth. And so, just ways of navigating it where it doesn't take over your life.
Right.
And then I've got lots of resources in the back. That's the one thing that I really wished 14 years ago, is when they just discharged us from the hospital. The social worker knew this much information. The nurse that discharged us knew this, and it was all spread out all over the place. And so the goal was to put all the resources in the back of the book, so people can use this not only as a blueprint to be able to find their new normal, but also to be able to access resources, whether it be from funding to finding equipment, through getting childcare,
Right.
and so forth. So lots of different.
Early intervention tools and things like that.
Yes. Oh, definitely early intervention. Definitely.
Now, since we didn't speak about the book on the first meeting that we had. Since you have brought the book along, tell people where you can find it, and we would definitely put that along with your information and help it get out there, because that's part of what we do too. We like to impart knowledge and information that where we can. So we'd love
Oh, well,
to
thank you.
we'd love to hear where people can find your book and how we can lead them to it.
Amazon.
Yay!
Amazon.com.
We love Amazon people.
Yes, it's available on Amazon.
Awesome.
How long did it take you to compile all the information for the book?
I wrote the manuscript in 24 hours, not consecutive. And so it
I'm like,
was.
girl, I gotta stop you for a second. I was like, girl, you are a queen, because let me tell you, I'm in the thick of it right now in my own book, writing it. And I'm like, yes, you'll have. It's a work in progress, but we're hoping to get it out by 2022.
Oh, excellent! Congratulations!
Yes. So I was about to stop you there and go, girl, I know you lied, because it's a long time.
So yes, it took me 24 hours for the manuscript, but then life happened, and it ended up being shelved. The project, I shelved it for at least 3 years, maybe 4, and so finally I returned back to it. And then that's when I started doing the research regarding the resources, AJ, just to go. And that took me some months just to go and find, because it's just not US. I have some international resources in here as well.
Yes.
And so but it's purposely, it's a pretty thin book. I purposely made it short, just because I knew, at least in the beginning, I didn't have a lot of leisure time, to just sit and kick up my feet and read a book.
No.
So I wanted quick read, where they go through the chapter, they get what they need, they go to the back of the book and get those resources, and then they keep it moving.
Like a cliff note sort of thing. It's
Yes.
like CP. It's like CP with cliff notes.
Right. Yes, I like that.
She wrote the book that's CP with cliff notes. We love it. So yes, you guys, please go and find Miss Robin's book on Amazon. We'll have the link in the description box. YouTube, all of our podcast information will have it, and we'll even have it posted on our website, so you can have a link there, and it'll take you right to it. Miss Robin, tell me about Wyatt's demeanor. Like, does he? I know he's a teenager now, so tell me about the different stages of Wyatt. I know, growing up as a kid, and then moving into kind of adolescence. And I know you started, and you market the bib so that it says adolescent to adult, because everybody can use it. And we've talked about the multiple uses, but I really love the aspect of the fact that it really does not stand out. I mean, it stands out in a really different way, I should say. But it's not, we talked about it prior to this, and I said it's not one of those bibs that are marketed to people with disabilities, because a lot of times they're terry cloth towels or the rubber ones that are just, frankly, they're really ugly. And
Oh.
I wouldn't be caught. I mean, I'm just like, I tell you, we tell it real here.
Right.
When I found Riot Wear and we discussed it, and you sent me one and you wanted feedback, I really I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, even if I have a situation where I'm out and I need to wear it, like, I would not be ashamed to wear it as an adult, and
Well, thank you.
you're welcome. AJ and I really love the concept, and I told you before, we're working on a promo for you, and I hope you love it because it's really cool. We kind of have the essence of Wyatt Ware, I think. Don't you think, AJ?
We
So
sure do.
we want to tell as many people as we can about your fabulous bibs, but we want to know more about Wyatt and where with every Wyatt Wear bib, there's got to be an essence of Wyatt in there, obviously. So tell us about your boy.
I like that question. Thank you. Wyatt is he is like the light in my life, besides my husband. And
I think your husband would be proud to take a second shot.
He has such a wicked sense of humor. And he picks up on things. I've had teachers over the years will tell me that, they're laughing, muttering to themselves or joking around with coworkers, and they'll start laughing, and Wyatt will be the only one in the room that's laughing too. And then they're like, wow, did you just understand what and so
he gets it, yeah.
So people make the assumption when you're nonverbal that you don't understand.
That's something that I want to make clear. You did mention that Wyatt was nonverbal. However, please understand, you guys, every child that's nonverbal most of the time can understand everything that you're saying or you feel or that comes out of your mouth. So if you're saying something that might be a little off color, kind of watch yourself, because they get it.
Right. And even if they can't communicate back to you with emotions or expressions, that still doesn't mean that they don't understand what's going on.
Exactly.
And so that has been fun to see that unfold over the years, just as far as his personality. And even he'll overhear us, my husband and I, talking, and I hear him laughing. I was like, why are you laughing at me? And he'll start cracking up. So now he has a speech generating device.
Awesome. We love those, right?
So, now I get to know definitively, what's running through my boy's mind.
I think those are super cool because, I've worked with kids and adults who use assistive technology devices for speaking. And, you think, and they understand. But then when they really start to understand it and they respond back to you, and I even have some adult friends who are nonverbal with CP, Zara, AJ, for example, who is beautiful and so smart and so fabulous, and she is so funny, and she is an adult, and she will tell you right off rip exactly what she thinks in the way that she thinks it, and she does not have any problem with that. So I really love to see, like I said, I worked with and tutored and worked with adults and adolescents who use assistive technology devices to speak, and it's really funny to see those personalities come out because they have the freedom to avoid.
Yes. Yep. And it's no filter. The filter is off. No filter. And so he could be quite cheeky because there was time where I was putting on, we already had him in his wheelchair, and I was putting his shoes on. and he already had the device hooked up to his chair, and I didn't even know this button existed because the device was relatively new. And as I'm putting on his shoes, he wears AFOs, and as I was putting on his shoes, I sometimes have to bang the bottom to get the shoe up over the AFO.
But
and
you know what? Stop right there, because I'm gonna shamelessly plug. You know,
friendly shoes, yes.
We have a great solution to that, Miss Robin.
Yes, we do.
Yes, he was wearing another shoe, not friendly. So, but anyway, maybe you could get them to sponsor as well. This other shoe.
Like, we'll work on that. We'll work on that. And you know,
they're awesome too.
Even if we can't sponsor it, you know, we have the code now. You can go over there.
Yes.
And use our code.
So as I was putting his shoes on and kind of banging the bottom of his foot to get it up over the AFO, he presses the button, leave me alone.
He doesn't.
And I was like, all right. So I didn't even know that button existed, Wyatt. Okay, thank you. But he was clever enough to be able to navigate off of the home screen and to find it and to be able to press it, and it said, please leave me alone. So
at least he had manners with it, though. At least he came with manners.
Yes.
I see trying to ask a question over there. Shoot.
How long has he had the device, and how has his personality changed with the device?
Good one, Age.
He's had the device since I want to say maybe February, March of this year. So it's still kind of new.
He's exploring his own language, huh?
Yes. And so, and you know, I mean, we always knew that he was the sarcastic kid, but now it's really punctuated, you know, with having the device.
Now, Miss Robin, you have a full-on teenager.
Yes. So there's times where we're like on, you know, Zoom family calls, and he will press the button. I'm bored, you know, or next, you know.
Don't let Grandma hear that,
do
Wyatt.
something else.
Don't let Grandma hear that, Wyatt.
I know. So AJ, I've seen just, you know, the sarcasm come out full blown, and also to the sweet side, because he'll tell me thank you, and you know, I love you, and so, you know, it's so fulfilling to be able to know.
His grown up in ways that you haven't had a chance to hear before.
Yeah.
Exactly. Totally agree.
Be careful as he moves into adulthood, because some of those words might change.
Yes.
Well, they can only change if we change them. So
that's the ticket right there. That's the ticket.
Yes.
You're right about that.
We change them.
Now we're talking about Wyatt and his spirit, but you have designed Wyatt wear, actually, you know, in the image of Wyatt and after Wyatt. But how does Wyatt feel about the bibs?
I think he likes them.
Yeah.
I do. I think he's told me he has. And so,
what is he? And one other thing I wanted to know, and I know we talked about this a little bit, but how is he in the process of helping you design, or talking about? Do you ask him like what his favorite fabrics are, or, you know, how hands-on? Because I know he can be. You know, since he's
opinionated.
So how, you know, how is that for him? Does he like having first of all, does he have a voice in it? And second of all, does he like having that voice?
I have to come to him in between him watching his programs. If I'm interrupting his programs, he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. But in between,
I'm sorry, but that's like any other teenager, even if the ones that wouldn't matter. That's the same thing.
Yes. So no, I will. I mean, he's not that hands-on with it, but I will ask him, you know, maybe not so much with this device we have. Like if I want a quick answer, we have a yes no card that I will put in front of him, and that will allow him to answer pretty fast and not having to navigate the buttons. But I will ask him as like before we even officially started manufacturing. I had put some things together, and he was my first tester, where I
Well,
would
of
put
course,
you know yes,
he is the star and
yeah,
everything that is white wear, so I wouldn't expect anything
yes.
less.
So, and I asked him when I put it on him, and I would create the pattern and put the materials together and then hold it up for him to look at. And he said that he liked them.
Awesome.
And I can't say if he has a specific favorite. I don't think I ever asked him that question. But every bib that I held up for him to look at, and because I was super excited once we got them all back from the manufacturer and they were official, and I showed them all, and he said he liked them all. So,
Awesome.
so we do show them the bibs. He is a part of that. He's not part of the day to day.
Well, he's the boss man, so he just points and he what's the word?
He delegates.
Delegation, yeah, that's right. My brain escaped me for a second.
Yes.
He delegates the task.
Yes,
Like,
we
no,
are Wyatt's.
I'm not interested.
We are Wyatt's hired help.
Yes, I mean, I see it. I see it.
Yes.
He's great at delegation, I'm sure.
Yes, that's right.
A couple more things. Well, I know we were talking about earlier what it means to you to have white wear and inclusion and diversity. But where do you see white wear in the future? Where do you hope it will go?
My goal really is I want it. I want to put it in. If I could give it away for free, I absolutely would. Same thing with my book. I want it to be vast, just because I believe, it's almost like our secondary tagline. Our primary tagline is where function meets fashion. And then a secondary one is everybody has a right to be fashionable.
Girl,
And so I would love, any kind of reason that somebody thinks that they need a bib, whether it's somebody that suffered from a stroke or whether it's somebody that was born with a disability, and everybody in between.
Yeah.
To be able to just have, look fabulous, feel good. Like another person told me that they were embarrassed. And you spoke about it a little bit, Shannon, about being in public or around family members, and they felt very childish when they would put on the little silicone bib or the bandana bibs, and they felt like babyish. And my goal is I want anybody that has a need for any kind of clothing protection to be able to put it on and feel like, if it's a woman, a fashionista, and if it's a guy, to feel, like he's GQ, to feel like they're, walking off of a fashion week runway, that they can look just as good.
And I love the fact that they are so fashionable, and that your tagline is perfect, where fashion meets function, because I truly believe, as somebody who's tried the product and loves it, and may not use it for the intended purpose all the time, but don't get me wrong, I do, because like I said, I just made some chili, and sometimes I'm eating and I might drop a little bit, and I told you the other day, like, there's no shame in my game, I will.
Lord knows I do.
Yeah, AJ. And we have to kind of just realize that it happens. Those mistakes happens. But when you can wear something as fashionable and as kind of new, I'm gonna say nouveau to the disability community, and not have that feeling of shame or guilt or any kind of thing because you spill or drop or need help covering your clothes, and you're out in public, it gives you a stronger sense of individuality too. So along with the fact that you're making these fashionable and they're serving a purpose and they're fulfilling a need, you have to also realize that they're not taking away from somebody's dignity, and that's a huge thing.
Yes.
Absolutely, totally agree. And that was the point.
Yeah. So
How,
go ahead.
how often do you come up with new designs, and what's the process of that?
You know, I can't say that it's like a systematic way that I come up with the design. Like with the whole formal line, I happened to see an ad from one of my fabric sourcing places that was advertising velvet, and I was like, oh, I want a velvet bib. So, it's something as basic as that, where the idea came because it was just an advertisement from one of the fabrics. And then that led to some more feedback that I received from one of the other testers. Was she talked about an adult child who has sensory, she's on the spectrum. And so she likes to touch, she likes bling and touch. And so I was like, how can we accommodate that? Sequence, and
Right,
so
yeah.
and so that's so AJ, it's not really, I can't say it's some scientific way or some systematic way. It's ideas that kind of pop in my head from feedback that I've received, or from things that come across, or from trends that are currently on the market.
Yeah.
Awesome.
One of the things I know that we mentioned, and you take feedback, both good and kind of
Constructive, yep.
constructive, yeah, was we talked about this
The closure.
and I mentioned to you that I feel that's something that would be more beneficial, and I'm going to go ahead and say it here because I feel like you took the constructiveness of it all and really like that, and so I'll say it again, is that, and if you're looking to buy a whitewear bib, please go, please do, because we love them. But hopefully in the future they will have magnetic closures, because you can see that it's a little difficult for me if I have dexterity issues to get it closed completely. However, it does close, and it's fabulous. It's great. But one of the things that I, since we're talking about that, would be the magnetic closure. I just think it would be easier overall. But we love them, and keep doing what you do because it's fabulous.
But I did after you gave me that feedback, that was part of the conversation I had with my manufacturer about magnetic closures. And so that's definitely on the horizon. Definitely on the horizon.
Cool. Go ahead, H.
Awesome. Thank you for.
Hang on one second before you thank her. I know, and I want her to talk about what, the theory behind our show is not burning the day. And to us, that means taking advantage of every second that you get in this life, because you only get one, no matter who you are. So we try to give information, show products like the wonderful whitewear bib and other things, and talk about topics that really matter to us and would matter to the disability community. But in your eyes, what does not burning the day mean to you, and whitewear? And then before we leave today, we're going to have you take us out of the show by telling our audience not to burn the day. But that will come after AJ kind of wraps us up and we all say goodbye. But tell us, before we wrap up, what not burning the day, that phrase, means to you.
I would say, we're given one life.
Yes.
And with that one life, how are you going to impact the world?
Yes.
And we sometimes it takes a lifetime to be able to find your soul's mission.
Ooh, wait a minute, stop right there. Say that again, because that right there, like, if you're listening, if you're watching, you need to hear that again. Girl, preach. Say it again. I love it.
Sometimes it takes a lifetime to find your soul's mission.
Yes.
But sometimes you look up on it a little bit earlier. And I believe I looked up on it earlier. So for Don't Burn the Day, for me personally, is to what am I going to do with what I've been blessed with, which is the opportunity to work within the special needs community. And
That makes me so happy. Like, you don't understand the smiles that are on our faces. That makes us so happy to hear answers like that, because we know that you truly mean it and that you are like in it. You're in it with us. You know what we're trying to get across to people who are listening, who are watching. And we want viewers who might be brand new to the show to really know what it means to a lot of different people. And I want you to continue to, explain that. But I just had to stop you for a second and let you know that, it really means a lot to us to hear that from you. So.
oh, I'm thank you. And so, it just makes my heart sing just to be able to help kind of bring light back into lives that have been shrouded in darkness because they don't know how to interact in the world with a special needs child. They will cower in a corner and keep to themselves. Because I used to be there and I know what it looks like and I can spot it in a room. And but just to be able to shine brightly. I mean, your mother did a phenomenal job, Shannon, because your personality is shining bright. And AJ, the same thing with you. You all were not, it's evident that you all were not taught to live in a closet.
No, ma'am.
And so, and that's what I'm trying to teach to Wyatt, that he has just as much right to do whatever the heck he wants to do as any typical person.
Absolutely.
And so I personally believe it's my soul's mission to help other parents to be able to communicate that to their children.
Yes, girl. There you go. My final question kind of comes off of that, and you kind of answered it. That's my final question before we wrap up. But AJ, if you have another one, please come in afterwards.
No.
Hold on one second. Like wrapping up my questions to you, and then we'll give all the information about Wyatt Ware and where you can find it and all of that stuff. And we'll have the links below in the description box on the YouTube videos and in the description boxes on the podcast, and also on our website at dbtdmedia.com. But the last and final question from me is, what if you, and I know you do all the time, you have you must you have friends who are having babies who have disabilities. So what would you, Wyatt's mom 14 years ago is definitely a different woman than Wyatt's mom now. So what would you now tell a parent of a child who has a special need? And take as much time as you need to think about that answer. What would you now say to them as they move through this process of being a parent to a child with a special need?
That what's most important in their lives would be their family and not the perceptions of anyone else.
Yes, love it. Look at his face. I love it. Because there's not a lot of people that would say that and be as candid as you are. So we love that, and that is truth. That is your truth. And we love to speak. Like I've said it many times here today, we love to speak truth. And I think that is the truest answer that you as a parent could possibly give, because it's a journey, and you speak about the journey all the time on the show and to me previously, but it is such a journey and you have to be ready for it, but don't take it as a death sentence.
Oh no. I mean, but it's a process. See, I think it would be totally unfair for me to tell these new parents to jump right into that because it was an evolution.
Right.
And so you have to kind of grow into your new life. And during that growth process, there's going to be a lot of people that are around you that don't know how to relate with you no more any longer.
You
Don't
can say go,
they
you
don't
can say no more. It's
lie.
okay.
Yeah, they don't try to try. They don't even try to learn how to relate with
Right.
you.
Yeah.
And so I tried to maintain those relationships in the early years, and then when it became, because I just didn't have a lot of extra time to babysit relationships that were no longer fruitful.
Right.
And so I had to make a decision. Am I going to spend all this energy trying to figure out how to live again with my new child who happens to have special needs and to keep my marriage together? Or am I going to try to, run after these people who are refusing to make any changes, and I have to be the one that does the changes? And so I ended up having to make the decision to sever lots of relationships.
Exactly. You have to find your people in that moment.
Yes.
Your
Yes.
people, your people that you can relate to and that you can understand. And even as a parent with a disability to children who are quote unquote neurotypical, I still have people in my life who don't understand what it means and like, well, how's it possible? What do you do? Like, well, I'm just a mom and we're just a family, and it doesn't make a difference whether my kids are neurotypical or have a disability. And I'm very blessed that they don't, but I'm also very blessed if they would have had disabilities, which CP is not, genetic. So obviously they don't. But I have so many people that come up to me and question like, well, why or how? I'm like, well, why or how to you? Like,
Right.
it's the same, kind of thing. But the reality is, I love what you said. You just have it's severing those ties with the people who truly don't understand. And
Not trying to. That's the other thing, Shannon. You'll run across people that don't understand, but they'll have the desire to want to learn.
yes,
And then you run across those people that don't understand and don't care.
yep. It's just about, it's kind of what we deal with on a regular basis, because living with a disability, it's the same thing. Like, you find your people. You find your people who really get you and who really want to treat you like a person, or there are those people who you come across and think you're going to be friends with, and then you realize they I don't want somebody in my life who's constantly going to feel sorry for me. Look, my life is, and I'll be frank with you. My life, for what it is pretty damn good. I'm pretty lucky. Okay, like I have an amazing partner in my life. I have two beautiful, amazing, smart kids. I have a job that I love. You know, but like the only issue with me is that I sit down and use a wheelchair for mobility. Okay, like it's not a big deal. It's not a big
Right.
deal to my family. It's not a big deal to my real friends.
Yeah.
But you gotta find those people who you fit with. You
Exactly.
know, people who are really want to be your friend and know you as a person are really gonna be that. If they don't, they're gonna fall off the wayside, and that's okay.
That's it. Right.
My, my last question is for those couples that are going through it. uh, How, what advice would you give them to keep their marriage strong?
Oh, we're talking in terms of the marriage now and how it
Oh
works.
yeah, I got it. Yep, definitely. So, therapy.
There's the word.
My husband is a psychologist, and you can't, just like with a surgeon can't operate on themselves.
Right.
So with a therapist,
That's very interesting. That's
yeah.
I wish I would have known that now before, because I would have kind of aimed some questions that way. But that's very interesting.
So we had to go to therapy. I mean, we chose to,
And
you know,
therapy.
and there's no shame in the game because
I wish I wish so much that so many more people would normalize therapy and going to therapy.
yes,
Because
yeah.
it's like you said, it's no shame in the game, and sometimes it is what it takes to keep a marriage together.
Yeah, I mean, and you could go proactively and then reactively, but
Right.
we had to go reactively,
Right.
in order to kind of deal with some things, and it's one of those things that you can continue to go, but you go to deal with the issue, or issues, and you go for as long as possible to get back to par with your partner, and then you can stop. Or you could just continue on and it could then be proactive. You'll move into that proactive state versus the reactive state.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, in order for couples, I mean, and I would recommend that for, a couple that has typical kids. I mean, therapy is a good thing.
Right.
And to go work out your issues with people that, don't have any skin in the game.
Right.
And
Not getting too personal here, and I swear this will be my last question before we wrap it, AJ.
Yes.
But what, like, I know you have talked about your feelings and how you reacted to Wyatt's diagnosis, but how do you feel your husband, if you want to kind of touch on that a little bit, not to get too personal, was different in that aspect? What were the two dynamics?
I had touched on it briefly when I was talking about Wyatt's origin story, about how we came out of our dark place at different times. But it took him much longer to work through his feelings, because we both were angry at the situation because we did everything we were supposed to do. We went to all the doctor's appointments, and we were like, wow, we still, got the short end of the stick. So with my husband, he had to work through that anger a little bit longer,
Right.
To come, because as a man, he experienced it a little bit differently.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally understandable.
Yeah. And so we have to put in, we have to factor in those differences when we're all on a healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took him a little bit, but then, he came around and become just as equally gangbuster with being in the special needs community as well, and also views being members of the special needs community as a huge blessing.
Love it.
Yeah, he does workshops for dads, and he calls them special operations.
We love that. We'd love to have him on and to talk about that whole thing.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really cool. You guys both can come on together next time and we'll talk about it all. Well, before we wrap up, tell everybody where you can find Wyatt Ware and what's, all your information, all your socials, so we can link people to you and just tell them all the things.
Okay, so you can find all the bibs on wyattware.com. Or you could go to Etsy if you prefer Etsy. We're there too. You can find me on social media on Instagram at Happy Life Special Needs Child. So just Happy Life Special Needs Child. It's a play off of the book's name. And then on Facebook, it's just Living a Happy Life with a Special Needs Child. And then on Instagram as well, Wyatt Ware LLC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one is dealing with just kind of anything and everything Wyatt, and that's the Happy Life Special Needs Child, and then the other one is just Wyatt Ware stuff.
And we'll have all the, you guys, if you're listening and you didn't catch all of it, we'll have all the links and information in the description box of the YouTube video and also the podcast description, so you can catch it there. And we'll also have links on our website, which is DBTD Media, so you guys don't have to worry about missing out on anything. And we will have Miss Robin back for sure on another episode.
Yes.
And obviously Wyatt Ware is going to be on top of our list for our giving week and our gift giving guide.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Gift guide.
Yeah, the gift guide, and we should probably talk about them during during the giving week, which we haven't talked about, but we will talk about that, guys, in another show. And so yeah, just thank you for coming on. And
Thanks.
AJ, let's wrap up, but remember to let Miss Robin tell everybody not to burn the day.
Hey, thanks, everyone. Thanks, Robin. You want to take us out?
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening and for watching. We appreciate you all and we love your support. Look forward to great content in the coming weeks and months over the holiday season, because we're moving into our gift giving time, and we're gonna, again, like we talked about on the show, we're gonna be talking about a gift guide and our special giving week where we highlight some charities and some things that we're working with. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that. And Miss Robin's information will be down below in all the descriptions for Whiteware. Go check them out. They're amazing. And look forward to a soon coming Whiteware promotional video by Don't Burn the Day for Whiteware. So you guys go check us out, and make sure you say, if you go and connect with Miss Robin, make sure you tell her you found her through us, because we would love that. And so finally, as we wrap up today, Miss Robin, tell everybody not to burn the day.
Don't burn the day.
Awesome. Everybody, thank you for a wonderful show. Thank you for a wonderful day. You guys, we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.